Will, you've been attending many World Economic Forums. This year, of course, is about rebuilding trust. Everyone's talking about AI, the impact of AI, and there's been a report out today that AI could actually contribute to inequality. What are your feelings?
AI is trained on the open web. Everyone's searching for the golden data set for it to be, a perfect product while it's trained on the open web. And the open web is filled with a lot of inequalities. The folks that are building the algorithms rarely look like me or my sister or my next door neighbors. So that means it's built with a lot of bias. But that's just the current snapshot. And how rapid do we move to fix these knowns? How do we get closer to a better golden data set by removing, the noise and the hate that's in the open web? And how do we get folks from the inner cities or underserved communities, underdeveloped communities, poverty-stricken communities to learn how to code and train data and write algorithms so we have a balance? So you can't base it off the current snapshot. You have to have an optimistic point of view on what it could be and try your hardest to get there.
What are the discussions you've been having here at the forum?
Well, because I sat on the Fourth Industrial Revolution Council for some years here at WEF, and when there was an AI forum, the AI board, we've been discussing the same things we were discussing in 2017 and 18 and 19. It's just that now everybody knows the things that we were talking about and concerned about years ago.
So what's going to change?
What needs to change is business models when you're deploying these mimic machines, because AI is just a big mimic machine currently as it grows to AGI, but right now it's good at mimicking. And with lack of regulations while it mimics, copyrights, IP, all these things fall under question. And when there's no regulations and governance around things being deployed, that's where the real issue is. The technology is amazing. The lack of regulations and things that I just mentioned, that's when things get a little hairy and scary.
Do you think there will be more regulations? I mean, of course, governments, the public sector, the private sector, they're trying to collaborate, but do you feel they should be acting quicker?
Regulations that stifle innovation, there's a thin line between the two. So you want to regulate in ways that the automobile industry has regulated, right? So there's regulations, and then there's F1. So there's vehicles that go butt-ass fast, right? And there's sports around that. Although, while there's regulations on the safeties and traffic from people getting from point A to point B, every car manufacturer that deploys a car is vetted, there's safety procedures put in place, there's airbags, there's seat belts, you know what you're buying. Every person that's gonna, operate that vehicle has to take a written test and a physical test. And that combination keeps street safe. The same is not for these technologies that are being deployed. As a matter of fact, the folks that are making the technologies there's no license. You don't have to be licensed to deploy AI, but you have to be licensed to deploy cars. You have to be licensed to drive fly helicopters, airplanes. There's licenses. And there's, aviation. The same isn't for this. And no one's trying to stifle innovation. It's just let's put some proper, humane, safety procedures in place. Hey, are you crazy? Do you have foul intents? Do you love communities? Is this technology you're about to deploy going to help us? What's your business practice? Is your business practice going to undermine our civil liberties, our safeties, and our privacies and our democracy? Like, how about we start there? Still keep innovation innovating, you know? But I think that's the thing that people are talking about, is if companies are going to lead with greed versus leading for society to continue to thrive. And the thing that breaks my heart is the amount of investment that goes into AI outweighs the amount of investment that goes into HI. So human intelligence versus artificial intelligence. Who's responsible to keeping people up to speed and educating folks that when they go out into the world and they're leading when they're adults, products aren't smarter than them. We've never had to deal with that up until this point. Right? You didn't have to worry about the Nike shoes that you're wearing to be smarter than you, or your freaking laptop to be smarter than you, or your TV to be smart. Yeah, we got smart TVs, but it ain't smarter than you. These things are about to be smarter than the people that are watching them. And that's whose responsibility is it to make sure that we're educated and there's funds available? We pay our taxes. You know, is this where's the urgency?
You feel there should be.
I mean, that's what I hope they're talking about up here at WEF.
Well, of course, you recently became the founder and CEO at FYI.AI. Tell me about the purpose, the design.
Well, FYI.AI was started at the heart of COVID when I realized that in the creative world, our tool to work when everybody was working from home was the messenger, was WhatsApp. And to work on WhatsApp, you need Dropbox and WeTransfer and Zoom and email. And so that means your IP, your copyrights, it's all up for grabs or at threat because every single product has different terms and conditions that no one ever reads. And that means your comments are in the Dropbox, and sometimes your comments are in emails, and sometimes your comments are in the discussions on Zoom. And so how does a team have proper workflow when everything is everywhere? So I wanted to have like a singular place for collaboration, conversations, digital asset management, all secured with elliptical curve cryptography with generative AI at the core of the product. And that's FYI.AI.
Well, of course, you've been very vocal about the need for individuals to have ownership of their data, and you just said that, but how can we make sure that that happens?
Well, the youth, people have to be audacious and release products that have better business models for people and the communities and the places that they dwell in. And right now, that's not the case with a lot of the tools that we use. So I'm audacious. Why am I building a messenger? Well, because there's no other messenger to make sure that your data is your data, and here's some elliptical curve cryptography to keep it safe, because what other option do you have? So the only way to do that is to use the technology that's available. There's a company called builder.ai. If you don't know how to code, you could still make products. You don't have to wait around for like, I can't wait for a product to come my way. You could do that yourself. And so until then, we're left with, horrible business models that take advantage of our data rights. And so I encourage everyone out there that has an idea to materialize that idea and hopefully be inspired to bring products to the world that keep people in mind, not just shareholders.
Of course, Will, you're hugely successful with the Black Eyed Peas. What impact do you think AI will have on the music industry?
I think it's going to be awesome. I'm not afraid of AI creating awesome stuff. Prince made awesome stuff. That wasn't daunting for me. Prince was like a gift to us all. Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Songs of the Key of Life is the best, compilation of ideas, songs that we've ever seen. But that didn't stop me from like wanting to create. And so the same is for AI. It's going to make some pretty cool stuff. It's going to come up with amazing ideas. That's cool. But because I'm a hyper creator, I got good ideas too. And if people don't like them, so what? I like them. You know, it's like, I like to use this as an example. Imagine someone made like a yoga AI. And they said, you know, Tania, you're an awesome yoga teacher. Are you afraid of the yoga AI? You naturally would be like, I need a stretch. Who cares if the AI could stretch? It ain't stretching for me. So you have to do the things yourself still. At some point in time, there's certain tasks that you have to do. And for songwriting and creating is a task that I have to do for my own spiritual rents. And if AI can do that, who cares?
I'd love it to do my yoga for me.
Well, then that means you ain't limber. But the only question I have, yes, I make music for me, but what are people gonna like? What are people going to find entertaining? Right now, people are chasing TikTok algorithms. Are we the most creative right now? I don't think we're the most creative right now if we're chasing 15-second TikTok behavior. So if something's gonna out-create us, bring it, because I think we need some freaking pushing on imagination and creativity at the moment.
Well, of course, as well as everything you do, you have the I Am Angel Foundation. Tell us about that and who it helps.
So my I Am Angel Foundation, we've been at it for, almost for a while, since 2008. I started with 65 students, teaching them computer science and robotics as they, pursued their path to college. And now we serve just a little over 13,000 students in LA. We're in over 300 schools with our partnership with LAUSD. We've sent kids to Dartmouth, to Brown, to Stanford, to USC, UCLA. And we're really proud of the kids' commitment, dedication. And now we want to just scale it. Because in 2008, when I had the hunch to get kids prepared for this technological tomorrow, damn, were we right? And if you think about, imagine if you said, hey, Will, what does your foundation do? And I said, Tania, we go up and we put billboards in the inner city. Because the kids need to know, the people in the communities need to know what to buy, even though they can't afford it. Guess what? You don't have to do that because there's so many billboards in the inner city where people can't even afford to buy the things that they're promoting or selling on billboards. And if you go to the rich neighborhoods, the thing that you don't see are billboards. If you drive down Beverly Hills, you don't see billboards advertising food that's bad for the community, but for some reason in the inner city, you see billboards promoting and selling horrible products that are not good for their health. So should my foundation, the only reason why I'm doing education around STEM is because I'm filling a hole that government should be doing. Or filling a hole, government should be making sure that every single school has robotics and computer science. Isn't that what our tax dollars are for? Why should my freaking foundation be filling a void to educate people? Right? That's pretty nuts.
Where did this come from, Will? I mean, I've talked to you, I've known you a long time, but what do you think it was growing up that made you then want to make a difference?
So I come from a very poor neighborhood in East LA, Boyle Heights, that's being gentrified as we speak. People that used to be able to afford to live there are inflation's going up, rent's going up, and the cool folks are moving in. We saw it happen in Brooklyn. But at the time when I was being raised there, I got bussed out to Palisades. And I'm a recipient of someone's philanthropic concepts. The magnet program, free lunches, summer lunches, free milk, free cheese. So I was a recipient of someone had an idea like, you know what, let's make sure kids from the inner city get a good education. And I got one. And so now that I've had success in music, I'm like, why do kids have to leave their neighborhood to get a good education? Why can't they stay in their community, get upskilled, so that when they have these skill sets, they could change the conditions of their neighborhood themselves? And gentrification happens from the inside, and people get educated, they bring opportunities to their community because they have the skills to bring the jobs and the industries with the skill sets that they learn. Because it's gonna happen anyhow. You know, folks that live in nice little comfy neighborhoods, they hear the songs that come from the inner city, be like, you know what, I think I wanna move to Brooklyn. There's a lot of rap songs about it. Compton in the next 15 years is gonna be like gentrified, like, yo, I remember listening to these songs about Compton. They're promoting communities, or Inglewood. Inglewood is like transformed, SoCal Stadium. That's like Snoop Dogg land. He was talking about freaking Long Beach way before, you know, the stadium went there, and it's being transformed. Why can't the transformation happen from inside? You know, like Dubai, that transformation happened from inside. That city, think about, that's that country. And I remember going there in 2005. It wasn't what it is now. Places like Singapore and the UAE are not as old as my grandmother or my mom. And look at the boom. Imagine what would happen with, you know, these inner cities if the folks that come from them are, you know, you mentor them to be the developers and the servers, and not just say words like underserved, underdeveloped, and ignore who the developer and the server is.
Well, before I let you go, because sadly I have to, are you concerned there's the election coming up this year? America seems so polarized. How worried are you?
Well, every election is polarized. You know, every election they say, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Turns out this one is. Because last election in America, in the UK, in India, you didn't have to, there was fake news in 2020. This fake news is something else. There's fake conversations. You can be talking to somebody you think is somebody that's not somebody. Companies with ill intent, or individuals with ill intent, are gonna launch, you know, AI botnets. They would have bought data from Meta, trained it on it, understanding who you are, to guide you, sheepdog you, to do things you probably never would have done, because it started manipulating you and its understanding of you and your weaknesses, your DMs, your likes, your thumbs up, your thumb downs, your comments in the comment sections, the things you follow. We've been programming this thing to understand, like, whoa, wait a second here. What's going on? So this is the first time in an election where you have this level of duping, manipulating, and AI sheepdogging, while there's no regulations around it. And then the regulations will come after the damage is done. That's my just like, dang it, we got bamboozled again. Which is sad.
When you say the damage is done, what do you mean?
Okay, so we know Brexit and the role that Cambridge Analytica played. That was damaging. We know the same thing that happened in the UK happened in America. We know that. That was Web 2.0 and social media. And maybe a similar scenario will happen in 2024. It hasn't even started yet. We're in January. And AI's been around for a minute. We should have been talking about AI last year, Davos. Why is it this year? Why the year of the election, not the year before the election, so we'll be more prepared this year? ChatGPT was around last year. Just was out for like how many months? October of 2022. We knew, just how awesome this technology was last year. We had the AI councils from 2017, 18, 19. Why didn't we talk about it last year? And so I think the regulations, unfortunately, are going to come after the damage is done.
will.i.am, thank you so much for joining us here today. As ever,
Cool.
Thank you.